that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. Confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. Confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. confident that that's what had happened. God. Confident that that's what had happened. God. What kind of band is this? Everybody poops sometimes. Give us the smolder. Wake up, sweetness.
Your first time should be more than special.
I'm in, Savannah said. Good Lord, Gemma. When a man and a woman, in this case, really, really love each other, what happens is they fuck.
Ooh, hello?
Oh, dang it, I lost my fish. This next word almost sounds like Quidditch. Quidditch milade Diana Agosiagath an Fiedian. As much as I love fucking you, sweetness. We stared into each other's eyes whilst I moaned in ecstasy. Having consumed half of the bourbon. I keep saying bourbon. You know, every time I mess up on a word, Stunt Mama just shows up.
She had her seductive smile on her lips.
I said we couldn't have sex. I didn't say anything about everything else. Ew. Happy to help. Biatch. You are the spark of light in the vastness of my night. His note, like a finality to a beautiful, breathtaking song.
Hello and good evening. How are we doing? It's good to see you. It's been a weekend, let me tell you. Stunt Mama's mama, congrats on claiming that first place prize, the coveted front seat. Much deserved, much deserved. It's good to see you. I hope you're well. The funky fantasy man, the author himself, is in the house. Kingdom Society's one and only. Good to see you. I hope you're well. You're tired, I can't imagine. Probably on the road right now. And Pants is here. Hi, Pants. How the heck are you? Aren't you? You're streaming. I have you up. I'm staring at your stream right now. I see you. You're driving a car. Quite well. Just kidding. It's been a rough weekend. Oof. I bet. But hey, it's your birthday, right? Birthday stream, birthday stream. Pants' birthday right now, everybody. Woo. And Case here. Oh, that reminds me. Hold on. There you go. It didn't pop up. Go figure. Or it's intensely delayed. I'm not sure which. But anyway, it's our son's birthday, actually. He's autistic. Well, happy birthday to your son. Happy birthday indeed. And hi, Kay. How are you? It's good to see you. We're doing an autism stream. Okay. All right. Well, good for you. That's fantastic. You placed 13th in your match, though, Pants. Get it together. Get it together. Don't think I can't see you, because I can. I'm good. How are you? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a... Just for me? Good. It's been kind of a low-key weekend. You know, our son's been sick. And And so that's, you know, that's been a thing. So we haven't really done much. Even in the night, when the bat signal calls, we haven't done much at all. Hi. I'm Batman. Sweet Lulu, it is good to see you. How are you? Oh yeah, that's right. I'm just gonna write some names down here so I don't forget who has stopped by. Hello. Normally I would reserve this just for the book, but gosh darn it. I feel like if you do the Batman voice, you have to really... This is serious. Gotham City can still be saved. Even with gentle, calming music in the background. In fact, that's what Gotham City needs. All the criminals can just calm the fuck down. Everybody take a rest. That's right. Yeah. I wish I was on with you. I'd do the other villains. Nice. That made my day. Good. Oh, now you want Arnold. Okay. So, it's Sunday. Okay. We're going to read a book now. Yes. Yes, we are. We have a puzzle. The puzzle is not on paper. It's on the computer. Okay. Here is your puzzle. It's a nice castle. In fact, yes, I think that is my castle. I was born there. All right. Look. Just do the puzzle. Do it now. Get in there. Do it. Oh my gosh, it's Rexter with the lights and Sweet Lulu with the 100 bits. What are you doing? Thank you. Thank you. That is too kind. Oh my gosh. You are almost too good. Oh, well, as long as I'm not perfect. Because I'm not. Rexter, how are you? Hello. Vote for me. Going to have to sip my tea. Because I am Arnold. That's right. Yes. I wonder what Arnold would sound like if he moaned. It would probably be like, ah, ah. Do that again. Oh, ah. Sly Stallone? I don't even know what that is. I'd have to look that up. Oh, I hope you've all had a good weekend. I've been ready for this, for today, for Right Meow. Oh, Rocky. Stallone. Stella. Yo, Adrian. Oh my God. That would be something. Yo, so we're gonna start our book tonight on chapter 29, okay? Yeah. Well, it's like that, all right. The Lore Keeper, hello. Thank you for the lurk. Puts on sunglasses and slips away. I should really change that to picks up a book and hides behind it or something. I think that would be better. Yeah. Anyway, it's great to see you all. I hope you're doing fantastic. Exclamation point puzzle to work on this lovely castle owned by Arnold himself. Probably. Yeah. Oh. There goes my first yawn. We all know they're coming. Oh, gosh. So, real quick before I read, we went over to the new build today to check out the house. Now, I want to know from you guys if you think this detail is, if I'm like reading too much into it, or if you're on the same page as me, or, you know, where do you lie in general about this concept, this detail? So they started putting in like the water heater, the AC unit, the furnace, right? All those good things that you need in a house. Here's my problem. This is where I need your input. The AC unit has been placed directly outside of a bedroom window that is an egress window. And I'm not just saying like on the left side, on the right side, like literally the part that you open, that you would climb out of if you needed to escape because of a fire. Okay? It's right there. That seems like a problem to me. But I can't tell if it's to code or not. And I realize every state has their own stuff for codes. But to me, it just doesn't feel safe. Like, why would you put the AC unit right outside where you're trying to escape? That doesn't seem right. Omen, thank you for the Hype Mind check-in. I appreciate you. Right? Oh, sorry. I'm fine. That doesn't seem correct. And it's the only window for that room. You are absolutely right. Zarias, welcome to the puzzle. Good to see you, sir. That's normal for Iowa. To be directly at the egress, though, I mean, by the window, close to the window, next to the window, sure. But to be directly where you would step out of the window in order to get to safety from a fire. That part doesn't seem right to me. Especially when it's the only window in that room. I don't know. That's where they were at our apartment. Interesting. If it's not, the inspector will make them move it. I want them to move it. Like, that's just dumb. You know, I've already sent an email to our construction manager, the guy that's like overseeing even the construction guy on site, about it. I mean, for one thing, you wouldn't want to be sleeping in that room when the AC unit goes off. It's going to be really loud. Like, talk about a wake-up call. But then if you have to escape, oh, there's this frickin' AC unit right in your way. Like, come on. Yeah. I don't know. And maybe it is code. Excuse me. My goodness. Maybe it is code or up to code for Iowa. I just don't agree with it. I think it's bad. I don't know how it can meet code either, Something Mom's Mama. I really don't. But like I said, I've sent an email. We'll see what I get in response. My concern is if they're like, well, yeah, we can move it, but it's going to cost you because it's up to code and we've met the code. It's already wired and everything. Like it's ready. Like that could be a problem. So anyway, Dry, hello. Is there a new book coming up? We're still about a little over halfway with our current book, so not yet. And I don't have one in mind just yet. I will be putting out some feelers once we get a little bit closer to the end, but I'm trying to think about what style or genre I want to read next. We haven't had anything on the spicy side in a while. So I was thinking maybe something like that could be fun to do, because those are fun every once in a while. Not every time, because, you know, gotta keep the people wanting more. Cooking books. Yes, that would be an excellent one. Let's do a cooking book. We have geothermal, so I can't relate. Well, excuse me, stepmama's mama with the geothermal. We have geothermal, so like, oh my gosh, I don't know, you know? Just kidding. Oh boy. Well, I guess we'll find out. Either way, I want them to know I'm displeased with their choice of placement. They could have put it anywhere else along that wall, but instead they chose to stick it right outside of the freaking bedroom window. They could have put it anywhere. We even drove around and looked at some of the other new houses that have been built in the area to see if anybody else had their AC unit right outside their window. No, they do not. Most of them aren't anywhere near a window at all, actually. I'm not mad, okay? Just disappointed. There's a difference. All right. Enough about that. We're moving on for now. It's fine. I'm calm. You're paying for this house, so it's your choice? Yeah, well, they didn't ask me, did they? Otherwise, I would have said, sure, put it outside the window. No. Taking a deep breath. Chapter 29 is called Family Reunion. Family Reunion. Excuse me. We're on page 285 of our 500-page book. So there's still a lot of story to go. And we're getting to the good chapters. Are you saying, sir, that the other 28 chapters were not good? Because that's a lot to get through to get to the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just teasing. We're leading up to a pinnacle point, I can tell. That's why I suggested a while ago that you continuously check on the build, easier to correct before the final walkthrough. We have been. The problem is the AC unit. In fact, Stump Mama's Mama, before I start reading. We had the electrical walkthrough Tuesday. The AC unit was not there. We go check on it today. There it is. Nobody said during the electrical walkthrough, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to put your AC unit right here by this window that someone's going to sleep outside of. Thank God it's not me, but someone's going to at some point. Yep, I'm just backing you up. I know. It's just, I wish they would have told us. Anyway, we're moving on, gosh darn it. We're reading a book now. It's book time. Calm down, get comfortable. We're reading a book. Page 285, as I said. And right on cue, it's Mal. Right on cue. As soon as I was about to start reading. Hi, Mal. How are you? Good to see you. I did tell you to calm. Well, I didn't tell you to calm down. But since you're here, calm down. There, I said it. We're going to start reading now. Gosh darn it. I caught that yawn? Yeah, you did. It was a big one. Oh, gosh. Stop it. Stop it. I didn't get a nap in today. You just woke up? Good grief. What time zone are you working from? No yawning? I'm tired, all right? You know, I'm just going to read. I'm not looking at chat anymore. You guys are distracting. For the 5th time, chapter 29, Family Reunion, page 285, exclamation point, Kingdom, to find out more. The year is 2049. We're on planet Earth. It's 2 days later. We're at Zane Technologies in Bozeman, Montana. I was up at 4:30 and then got up at 8. I swear to God, if I yawn one more time, I'm shutting it down. Here we go. Ezra approached Zane Technologies in Montana with an exasperated sigh. The early part of the morning turned out to be more of a headache than he'd prepared for. I'm getting sick and tired of Admiral Dan constantly checking in on me. It's like I no longer get a single moment of peace and quiet. As he approached the door, a loud voice made him stop and sweat dribbled down his brow. Did you think you could come here without me, boy? Ezra turned to find Admiral Dan standing with his arms crossed and his eyes narrowed. How did you get here? Dan strutted forward awkwardly, slightly limping every other step. I used that blasted portal you created. It's time I get to see what you're up to when I'm not around. The president is on his way to Zane Technologies this very moment with a large selection of the military. If I don't like what I see today, you're going away for a long time. He smiled crookedly and put a hand on the CEO's shoulder. Lead the way, boy. Ezra's stomach twisted, and his throat became dry. He's acted differently ever since my last meeting with Zalron. Did that bastard do something to the Admiral? I can't have him around right now. Walking quicker, he tried to leave Dan behind, but to no avail. He walked inside the busy building and was greeted by loud applause and excited faces. Stand up and move for like 10 seconds. Might cut the yawns for you. Yeah, it might. But that's a lot of effort. Mr. Zane, welcome to Bozeman Branch. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Ezra shook the man's hand and nodded. It's my pleasure. What's your name? I'm Stephen Brown, and this is my wife, Kelly. He pointed to her and brought up another woman after. And you already know Michelle. A tall girl walked forward and held out her hand. Hello, sir. I'm Kayla. I've wanted to meet you for quite a while. I was hoping another friend of mine, Adam, would have been here too. He was really eager to meet you. She looked up at Stephen and Kelly with a worried frown. Do you know where he is? Kelly cleared her throat and leaned in closer. Who's Adam? Mal. thanks for gifting the sub to Eagle Chick. That was kind of you. You just wanted me to spin the wheel, didn't you? What? Mal, stop it. Thank you for giving Pants a subscription. She's streaming right now, and hello to 339 Ninja as well. It's time to spin the wheel. I also have my thumb on the page, so I hopefully don't lose my place. First spin. Curls. Curls. Let's go ahead and type one-handed. We've added 5 curls. Thank you for that. Here comes spin number 2. Hammer curls, because let's even it out. That makes sense. Now I owe 10. So we have 5 squats, 5 curls, 10 hammers, and 0 push-ups. Thank God something is blank. No book for you, Bookman. We'll do them after the chapter. I swear. I promise. And Mitchell's here. Hi, Mitchell. And welcome in, Ninja. Glad you're here. Come on in, sit down, relax. We're going to read. Trying to read. Just teasing. I didn't lose my place. You should be proud of me. Kayla's face went pale and she disappeared behind her mom. Let's get on with whatever you're going to do, boy. Dan barked. I don't have all day and I'm already disappointed. Ezra turned sharply and gave Dan a scoff. Remain silent. You are here because I allow it. The military man flared his lip. Ezra returned to the employees. Looking at all their smiling faces made him sad. Guilt set into his heart, for he knew what had to be done, but it didn't change the way he felt. All he could see, in his mind was Zalron's evil face. Clearing his mind, he held out his hands and smiled. I'm here today to let all of you know you've been selected to receive free magic bullets, as well as a trip to our headquarters facility for a conference. I'm proud of all the work you've put in here. If you'll follow me downstairs, I've got an amazing surprise for you. Poor buggers. Guiding everyone toward the stairs, he walked up next to Kayla. Who is the Adam guy you were asking about earlier? Kayla blushed and combed her hair behind her ear. He was a new intern who started a few days ago. She looked into the distance and smiled. He's got long red hair, he's super buff, and he's got dreamy blue eyes. She let out a deep breath. Kayla! Michelle pinched her daughter's arm. The CEO doesn't need to hear about your new crush. She waved apologetically at Ezra. Forgive my daughter. She doesn't usually act like that. Ezra chuckled. It's all right. I remember my first crush. He stroked his smooth jaw and his heart jumped. Her description sounds a lot like Eliath. Was he really here the whole time? Wait. Suddenly, everything made sense to him. Ian Gray wanting a location in Bozeman, and the way the man always reminded him of Zylock, and various other things that never added up. He was right under my nose the entire time, and I didn't know it. Turning the corner, he guided everyone down the stairs into the basement level of the facility. Rows of blue neon light gave a glow to the area. Ezra set his hand on a palm scanner, and a pair of double doors hissed open. Just like that. He motioned them inside. His ears perked as he heard Dan on the phone with someone around the corner. Yes, be standing by with the Black Ops team to arrest Ezra Zane. He's been lying to us the entire time about everything. Dan strolled around the corner and wore a smug look of accomplishment on his face. Something inside Ezra's body snapped. He spun around and slammed Dan against the wall. Who do you think you are? Trying to have me arrested and attempting to get in my way every day? I've had my fill of you. It's time for you to leave. Dan's smile turned into a malicious snarl. Wow, I can read. Malicious snarl. And he grabbed Ezra's head with both hands. His eyes ignited purple, and he released an explosion of lightning from his fists, sending the CEO flying into the wall. You want to do whatever you want? Is that what you're telling me? You are nothing without me, boy. It's time for you to fulfill your destiny and become my disciple. Permanently. Thank you, Nova. I appreciate you. Ezra jumped to his feet, fists balled. You aren't Admiral Dan, are you? He circled the military commander, keeping a watchful eye on him as he did so. You've been acting strange ever since that day in the time travel room. Who are you really? Dan cackled excitedly. You figured it out, eh? It is I, Lord Zalron. I'm using my soul projection magic to see through this meat sack's eyes. I had to make sure you were doing as I asked. And clearly, there's still too much humanity left inside you. He took a stalking step forward. Time to fix that. Ezra leaped forward with his arms extended, but his enemy vanished. A strong hand grabbed him from behind and flung him through the concrete wall into the room full of people. The white and black tile floor became decorated with dust and rubble. Ezra shook his head and recovered from the impact. His ears rang and his body ached with pain. He turned and found the countless employees rushing for the exit, but Dan had it blocked. Dan grabbed one of the terrified people and lifted them from off the ground. You dare try to escape Lord Zalron? He snapped their neck and tossed them to the ground. What is wrong with you? Leaping forward, Ezra charged green energy around his fist and threw a vicious punch. Dan blocked it and placed him in a chokehold. He positioned Ezra toward everyone and squeezed hard. These people are all mine, boy. You're going to bring them to me, and you'll kill anyone who gets in your way. I will not have my plans thwarted because of you. He turned Ezra around and grabbed his head with both hands. Your empathy is getting in the way of what needs to be done. I've had it with letting you do things your way. Now, you are mine. Ezra raised his head to the ceiling and let loose a scream. The room echoed and vibrated. Pieces of the ceiling started crumbling to the ground, and red and black energy exploded off him. Multiple spots on his neck and arms glowed purple, and his eyes ignited the same. He threw his hands out to the side, and a large barrier shield formed from the portal device to the door. He shoved his hand through Dan's chest and grabbed the spine. Disappear. Loosing continuous voltage, the Admiral body shook, and different colored lightning traveled up and down his body before the eyeballs popped with a sickening splatter. That is a delightful image. Dan laughed manically. I can also read as well as speak. And held his hands to the sky. Good boy. Let their hatred take over you and finish the rest of your mission. I'll be waiting for you in Targus. Ezra gripped the large vertebrae and yanked it out. Raising his other hand, he charged a swirling ball of energy and slammed it into the man. Dan's body vibrated before disintegrating into a pile of ash. Sweat pouring off his forehead, Ezra attempted to stop his body from moving but couldn't. Instead, his mind, he screamed but couldn't stop his movements. He'd become a prisoner in his own body. He turned slowly to face the employees and stalked toward them, tossing the spinal bone to the ground. Please hold still. I don't want to have to chase any of you down. Kayla grasped her mom's arm. Stay away from us. She looked up at her mother with watery eyes. I'm scared. I don't want to die. Michelle caressed her hair and held her tightly. Don't fear, sweetheart. Everything is going to be fine. Stephen Brown strolled forward and threw 2 quick punches at the CEO's face. Ezra grabbed the man's hand and snapped it at the wrist, followed by a sharp kick to the chest, sending him flying backward. Don't try that again. I don't want to hurt any of you. I don't want to do any of this, but I can't control myself right now. Ezra's words came out like suppressed screams. Aiming his hands at the top of the barrier, he shot green lightning at it, and the shield increased in brightness before releasing a powerful beam of power upward. It separated into a spiderweb fracture of tentacle like lightning and spread over the entire ceiling of the room. Loud rumbling shook the ground as the walls cracked and broke apart. Everything collapsed around them until only the barrier remained. There's no need for this place anymore. Unfortunately, none of you will be returning. Clasping his hands together, he charged up more power, then aimed at the employees and released a cloud of purple mist. The air became toxic with a foul miasma, and each person's eyes turned blank when the energy hit them. They all dropped their heads and meandered around like mindless zombies. Ezra walked over to the portal device and fired it up. A large, swirling ball of magenta energy opened. Everyone, you are now followers of Lord Zalron. Follow any instructions given to you by me until I've handed you off to your new master. Everyone sluggishly walked through, followed by Ezra. He turned off the machine with a snap of his fingers. They stood in a room nearly identical to the one they'd just left. The only difference being another 1,000 people wandered around aimlessly. Some banged their heads against the walls, some held their heads with both hands and mumbled nonsense, and some walked in circles, occasionally dropping to the ground only to stand again and repeat the same movements. Ezra grabbed his head and winced. Everything throbbed, and his eyes pulsed with each beat of his heart. He screamed inside his mind, "Please, someone help me." The intercom system blared a loud alarm, then an unfamiliar voice came over the speaker. Ezra Zane to the front entrance. The president wants to see you. Ezra cursed and punched the wall. Walking toward the hallway, he staggered and limped, attempting to ignore the pain, but he couldn't. He wanted everything to end. And as he made his way to the main level of the facility, he stopped at the front door and stared out at the formation of over 200 Marines and an old man in a black suit before them. Ezra cracked his neck and walked out of the facility. The old man stepped forward and crossed his arms. You've caused me a lot of problems, you know that? Hiding your true intentions of your experiments, hiring that loony professor, but not taking care of the power cell terrorists like I ordered. Dan informed me of your belligerent behavior, and on behalf of the people of the United States of America, I sentence you to a lifetime in prison for all the chaos you inflicted. Head twitching back and forth, Ezra walked out to the world leader and pointed an accusing finger. You're the one who signed off on everything. Purple energy exploded off his arms. I'll give you one chance to leave this place. I can't control my actions right now, and I don't want to hurt any of you. The president came forward and jabbed a finger into Ezra's chest. You think I'm afraid of you, kid? I'm President Boulderheimer, a proud American and a patriot. Your magic abilities won't work this time. He motioned to the first line of Marines. The men marched forward and aimed large guns with quad-prong projectiles at the end. They charged their weapons, and hot blue voltage zapped to a central point on the barrels. Boulderheimer smirked, crossing his arms smugly and poking Ezra in the chest again. Last chance. If you come willingly, I'll make sure you get a lighter sentence. If not, well... He smiled crookedly. Ezra's mind buzzed and his pulse increased. Every word the president spoke drove him closer to his breaking point. The purple dots on his arms and neck grew brighter, and with each exhale of air, tiny flickers of lightning raced out. I'm warning you, Balgan Slimer. It's Boulderheimer. You an impotent little shit. You'll do as I say. I'm your commander-in-chief, and I'm giving... The energy around Ezra's right arm transformed into a sword. He swung viciously as he screamed in rage. He breathed in and out, and his eyes throbbed harder, and his heart beat 4 times faster. The president took one awkward step back, his eyes opened wider, mouth dropping open. Then, the head broke off and fell to the ground. Eagle is down, a man shouted. Fire! 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 Volleys of projectiles soared at Ezra. He slammed his hands together, pulling them apart. Lines of powerful lightning formed into a net, blocking each one of the weapons and sending them to the ground with a dull thud. Pain coursed through his body and mind. He screamed from within, wanting everything to stop. I don't want to kill anyone. Zalron took away everything from me. He'll pay. Ezra rose into the air, hands out to the side and his eyes focused on the military. Clenching his fists, he released lines of powerful energy. It swirled around viciously into 2 cyclones which moved forward at frightening speed. Weapons flew into the air and into the power storm. They broke in half and fell to the ground in a shower of metal. Bring in the tanks and rockets, a Marine shouted. On the horizon, a line of armored tanks rolled in. They fired and cacophonies of booms echoed as the ground shook. Ezra launched himself at the ground and sent a powerful punch into the earth. It cracked upon impact. Large waves of purple and blue lightning shot upward and knocked the projectiles off course, sending them into Zane Technologies. Billowing fire leaped up upon the explosion, and portions of the building crumbled to the ground. Terrified screams echoed from within, and countless people on fire ran from the building before collapsing to the ground, yelling and attempting to remove their pain. Thick gray smoke filled the air, and a foul odor of ash lingered. Ezra watched, horror-struck, realizing what he'd done, but still unable to stop himself. Lines of Marines moved in, and the beastly war machines continued rolling in from the hills. Raising his hands to the sky, Ezra released a continuous stream of electricity and energy. It formed into a colossal ball and continued growing until becoming that of a small asteroid. Screaming, Ezra threw his hand forward and released his attack. It landed in between the tanks and Marines, then dug itself into the ground and rang out with an ear-splitting screech. Boom. Ezra threw his hands up and formed a barrier shield. A blinding flash of light illuminated the area as the energy ball exploded. The screams of the victims were drowned by the continuous rumbling of the earth. After the dust settled, Ezra laid eyes upon a crater of epic proportion. All that remained were tiny pieces of tank armor and helmets. Ezra fell to his knees. The purple energy in his eyes remained, as well as the spots of his arms and neck. His ears pulsed and rang, and it grew louder by the minute. His pulse became dangerous, and he let out a scream. He stared at the burning rubble of Zane Technologies. What have I done? Why can't I stop myself? His body rose, and he made his way toward the wreckage before stopping at the sound of a familiar voice. Ezra, what have you done? And then there's a break in the story, which means I get to sip some tea. Now, the next part, I can tell you, says 1 hour earlier. So, I have a feeling that Ezra, what have you done line is from somebody that he knows from the other world. Question is it Zylok, Alioth, or Sindral? That is a good cup of tea. One hour earlier. Where are we going, old man? Alioth asked, attempting to keep pace with the wizard. Holding up a finger, Zylok chuckled and pointed to a tall building. We're going in there to get your sister. Alioth's eyes fell upon a sign that said Gary G. Simmons Medical Hospital. Is she a doctor or something? No, just a medical aid. Come on, lad. We need to make a good time. Zylok opened the doors and walked to a counter in the emergency room. He waved at the young lady behind the computer. Hello, my dear. I'm here to see Carmen. The woman looked at him with questioning eyes. Sir, Carmen hasn't worked here in over a week. Heart beating quickly, Zylok stroked his beard and put a shaky hand on the counter. Where is she? Did someone abduct her? Relax, sir. Are you family? Yes, we are. The lady looked back and forth at the two men and rolled her eyes. Whatever. I don't get paid enough for this. She took a job at Zane Technologies in the medical division. Zylok grabbed Alioth by the arm. Come on, we need to go, now. Alioth rushed after the old man and wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. Hey, by the way, why is Corey inside your pocket? A small mouse stuck its head out of Zylok's robe and wrinkled its nose. I can only stay in human form for so long. I have to recharge my energy in case I need to be a human again sometime soon. Oh, I never knew that. Then again, I was a kid the last time we saw each other. Alioth chuckled lightly and slapped the old man on the back. After we save my mother, will you start training me? Zylok winced and cracked his back. Good lord, lad. You've gotten strong. Must be a Zane family trait. As for the training, yes. We will start when we get to Vasilius. He grabbed the boy's hand. Now hold tight. A split second later, they stood in Zane Technologies. Zylok's eyes widened and his body stiffened. Something isn't right here. Eliath grabbed the wizard's arm and shook it. Zylok, look over there. That has to be the most beautiful woman I've ever seen since Kayla. Zylok looked over, then turned to Eliath and smacked him on the back of the head. Ow! Blaze fires, old man. That's your sister, you filthy degenerate. Show some respect. Eliath's I'm assuming that's meant to be face. Eliath's face reddened, and he held up his hands awkwardly. Holy crap, I didn't even recognize her. Gosh, I feel like an idiot. Zylok chuckled and walked down the hall. You can regret your life choices later. Right now, we need to get your sister into one of those empty rooms at the end of the hall. Eliath sluggishly went after the old man and cursed himself as he did so. Zylok went up to Sindril and held out his hands. My dear, I believe someone requested your help in that room. He pointed toward it. You better go quick. I heard it's bad in there. She nodded and dashed down the hall. The intercom speaker overhead blared a loud siren. Ezra Zane to the front entrance. The president wants to see you. Eliath scratched his head and darted after the old man. I thought he was in Bozeman. Throwing his hands up, Zylok grunted. Apparently he's back, and things are about to get hairy. He stopped at the door. I want you to understand. It might be a bit painful to see her get her memories restored. If you don't want to watch, you can stay out here. I'll leave the choice up to you. Eliath grabbed the doorknob and nodded. She's my sister. I'm going to be there for her. He walked inside, followed by the old man. Sindril stood by an empty bed looking around nervously until seeing the two men enter. I thought you said someone needed help. Zylok came toward her slowly with a small grin. Yes, I know. I may have lied a bit in order to get you in here. Please hold still. This will only take a moment. Sindril threw her hands up, but to no avail, the old wizard's hand clamped down on her head and released silver energy. Her eyes ignited the same color, and her arms fell limp, and she fell to her knees as her body vibrated and flailed. Eliath's body stiffened as he watched. Old man, you need to stop. She's in pain. Zylok came and put an arm around him. I know, lad, but this is the only way. It will be over in a few seconds. He dropped his head and released a few tears. I wish none of this would have happened. I'm going to make sure these kids have a good life going forward. I won't allow anyone I love to die ever again. Heidi. Hello. How are you, my dear? It's good to see you. Sindril's eyes returned to normal, and she stood, gripping her head, breathing deeply. Once she saw Eliath, she ran to him and leaped into his arms. Little brother, I can't believe it's really you. She laid her head on his shoulders and sobbed. I saw you in my dreams. I couldn't make sense of it. I'm so glad I can remember you again. Eliath squeezed her hard and released his tears. I love you so much, Sindril. I'm so glad you have my back in life. I'm so glad to have you back in my life. Sindril got to her feet and slapped Zylok across the cheek. How could you do that to us, old man? You took away our memories of knowing each other. You separated me and my brother and left us. What about our mother? You left her in Targus to suffer at the hands of the Black Hood? Why? Chuckling nervously, the old man cleared his throat and put a hand on her shoulder. You've got your mother's fire. Eliath pointed at Zylok and narrowed his eyes. It isn't funny. You've got to stop using humor to soothe us. We aren't children anymore. Sorry, I'm back. Cell signal sucks. No worries. Welcome back. Zylok threw his hands up. I'm trying to explain myself to your sister. How do you expect me to do that if you keep constantly interrupting me? Syndril folded her arms. Well, it isn't funny, Zylok. Do you know how many times I had something happen in my dreams, or saw an image in front of me, or heard the name Syndril whispered in my mind? And had to hydrate because someone told me to? Oh wait, that was chat. Thank you for the hydrate, Rexter. That's the good stuff. I can't. Whoa. Let's not throw the lid. I can't wait to make you a cup of my tea sometime. Just for you to try. You never know. You might like it. It will happen. I have no doubts, sir. I have no doubts at all. Eliath chimed in and started grilling the old man with other questions. Both kids went back and forth, barraging Zylok with insults and more questions. Enough! Zylok loosed a wall of purple energy. It grabbed both kids and pressed them against the wall. I'm trying my best here to make things right. All I want is your forgiveness, but I can't change the past. He walked forward and gave them a wistful stare. All of this happened because I wasn't strong enough or smart enough to beat Zolron. He snapped his fingers and released the energy binds. I'm sorry to use such harsh tactics, but I need you to understand how serious the threat still is. We are in the midst of a war. One that we don't know how to win yet. I know I joke a lot, and I make light of things, but it's the only way I know. I use humor to hide my true feelings of self-loathing and fear. He went to the bed and sat. Letting out a deep sigh, he looked up with a half smile. In my 3,000 plus years of life, I've only come across 2 villains that I couldn't defeat. But Zolron hurt us the most. Do you know how frustrating that is? And now he's taken away everything from us. I'm supposed to be the one with all the answers and solutions to everything. But I failed. He dropped his head and cried. The kids rushed over and hugged him tightly. They all cried and rocked back and forth. Eliath looked up and put a hand on the wizard's chest. I love you, old man. We both do. I forgive you. I didn't realize you felt that way. Syndril nodded and spoke in between sobs. You better not go leave us again. You hear me? Zylok kissed them both on the forehead and got to his feet. You have my word. I will do everything in my power to keep you alive. I won't leave your side ever again. And if necessary, I'll give my life to protect yours. Eliath wiped his eyes out and chuckled lightly. You don't get to die either. He held up a finger and tilted his head. By the way, that's the first time I've ever heard you mention your age. You're over 3,000 years old? Zylok nodded curtly. 3,450 years young. I still feel like a youthful pup. He bumbled with laughter. Blazing fires. You look good for your age, old man. A loud boom shook the foundation of the building and chunks of concrete fell from the ceiling. Zylok grabbed them both and cast a barrier shield around them. Good lord. It appears Ezra is making a mess of things again. Sindral's eyes open wide. Again? What is going on? Zylok put a hand on both their heads. Why don't we find out together? Transparency style, eagle eye. His eyes flooded with blue light, and his vision soared through the walls until landing outside the building. Ezra hovered in the air. Lines of purple and red lightning flew off of him, and a colossal crater sat beyond. Countless people on fire ran from the building, which was nothing more than a heap of rubble. Zylok snapped his fingers, and his vision returned. Eliath jumped up and down. What kind of voodoo magic was that? That was awesome. We were here, but I could see everything outside the building. Zylok laughed and slapped him on the back. That was Eagle Eye, lad, an advanced form of vision magic. And I can explain more later. We need to stop Ezra from doing something he'll regret. Are you with me? Eliath shoved a fist in the air. Yes, let's do it. Zylok phased them outside and held out his hand. Ezra, what have you done? The man turned his head slowly, his purple eyes glowing brighter by the minute. Stay out of my way, old man. I can't control myself right now. I don't want to hurt you. Zylok rushed forward and grabbed the man by the collar. You can't hurt me, lad. I'm here to save you. Now let me. Ezra screamed and more energy poured off him. He slammed a fiery fist into the old man's chest, sending him flying back into the rubble of Zane Technologies. Eliath gritted his teeth. His energy gauntlets ignited jade, and he conjured a blade out of thin air. He pointed it at his cousin. What is wrong with you? How could you work for Zalron? I know he's controlling you now, but why did you ever go? Did you know what that monster did to my father? Ezra's eyes twitched as he cracked his neck. I did it to save my father. I never wanted to. Put that sword down, cousin, before you get hurt. Eliath snarled angrily. Rushing forward quickly, he aimed the weapon at his cousin and slashed in a downward motion. Ezra grabbed the blade with one hand and conjured an energy sword with the other arm. He slashed quickly and severed his cousin's arm at the elbow. Eliath clutched his stump and fell to the ground, blood squirting everywhere. Sindral threw her hands in the air and charged the man. How could you do that to your own blood? You bastard! She leaped forward and landed in his grip. Ezra squeezed her throat and tossed her to the ground. Getting on top of her, he threw 4 powerful punches into her face, leaving her bloody and bruised. He limped backward and forward and gripped his head in agony. I told all of you to stay out of my way. Why didn't you listen? Zylok came out of the rubble and rushed forward. He stared at Ezra. Tears flooded down the man's cheeks, and his body shook. The old man gritted his teeth. I'll save you, boy. Go back to Targus. Do what you need to. I'll send you help. Ezra phased out of sight. The old man went to Eliath first and helped him up. Are you okay, lad? He reached inside his pouch and grabbed a small tin of black ointment. He rubbed some onto the bloody stump, and the boy screamed. However, the flesh no longer bled. You'll be okay, lad. He kneeled and picked up the bloody arm and put it in his side bag. That's gross. Grabbing Sindral, he brought her close and then tapped his wrist device. A large magenta portal blasted open. He took one last view of Earth before leaping through the energy and landing in Basilius. His mouth gaped at the sight of Kairos in an energy prison. He set Eliath and Sindral down and went over to his friend. What in the blazes happened here? Kairos slammed his fist against the shield. Zalron is what happened. I told you not to. Yes, I know, and I didn't listen. Kairos dropped his head. Can you get us out of this wretched thing? Zylok reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ring. Putting it on his finger, he slammed his hand against the barrier, and it disappeared. He grinned and crossed his arms smugly. Looks like you owe me again. Kairos shook the old man's hand. I'd ask what you did to make that ring, but I know better. He pointed to the men next to him. You remember King Charlie? Zylok bowed respectfully. Of course. It's good to see you. It's good to see you again, my friend. I'd love to catch up now, but we need to get Eliath to a healing room. Kairos nodded and went over to Sindral and Eliath. Corey crawled out of Zylok's robes and transformed into a human. What now, old man? I'm sending you to Targus to save Ezra and the rest. I'm giving you extra power. You'll know what to do when the time comes. He placed his hand on his companion's chest and released multiple pulses of silver energy. Now go, my friend. Go save our family. I must stay here with the kids. Corey nodded. How do I save him? We don't even know what's controlling him. Zylok put a hand to his beard and scratched. Try the evil purging spell. You remember that one, right? Corey confirmed with a thumbs up. I do. I'll bring everyone back safely. Zylok went over to Kairos and helped guide the children toward the castle. We've got a lot to talk about, old friend. I hope you're ready. And that concludes chapter 29. That was a hefty chapter. Lots going on there. Energy balls and lightning strikes and blood and spines and death. And a wonderful cup of tea. All right, let's see. We owe 5 squats, 10 hammer curls, and 5 regular curls. So, without further ado, it's time that I do. Woohoo! We did it! And now I can get rid of them. There we go. Thank you for that workout. Appreciate it. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it. All right. Ooh. Excuse me. Hi, Gray. You just missed my workout. Or maybe you didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure when you came in. How are you? I know. We did some squats. We did some hammer curls and regular curls. That's what we just did. You're exhausted? Well, gosh, I am so sorry. Did you have a late night? That's rhetorical, folks, because she did have a late night. Stream till 4 a.m. Yeah. You think I'm going to be up at that time? No. You were supposed to start stream at 9:30 Eastern. I gotta run. Have a good night, y'all. Good night, Kay. Thank you for being here. Much love. Take care of yourself. But you didn't start stream, Gray, until 12:30 Eastern. Give or take a few minutes. What the heck? That's all I'm saying. The nerve. I got a new chair, and it's being a bit weird. But I'm figuring it out. Don't worry. Anyway, I'm glad you're here now. I hope your stream was enjoyable, even though now you are exhausted. I still hope you had a good time. We are on chapter 30. Because that's what comes after chapter 29. If I remember math correctly. Excuse me. Chapter 30 is called Twin Viper Technique. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Ooh, and we're on page 302. We've broken to the threes. There's a mile marker for you. We've broken to the threes. So, for those of you still hanging out in the background, we'll get back into it. Exclamation point Kingdom, by the way, to learn more about this book, our author, and other works by Nathan himself. Ezra pushed the last of the followers through the portal. Snapping his fingers, he closed off the energy gateway and released a scream. He launched himself from one end of the Colosseum to the other and threw a blazing green ball of lightning to the statue of Kai. He gripped his head, cursing and moaning from the pain. Why did I kill all those people? How could I have done that to my cousins? I don't know if I can live with myself anymore. The 1,000 mindless followers walked around aimlessly, and as Ezra looked upon them, his heart beat louder and his head pulsed. Taking one weak step forward, he managed to steady his breathing. The purple dots on his arms and neck dimmed. Making his way toward the castle, the events of the last hour went through his mind. The fact he'd murdered the president and hundreds of Marines ate away at him. But not more than what he did to his cousins. I pray the gods will have mercy on me. Just as he entered the market, a large pair of arms grabbed him from behind. Ezra fussed and squirmed but remained stuck. Relax, young man. It is I, Corey. Ezra turned his head and laid eyes on the gentle giant. Relaxation came over him, yet his heart rate increased. Gritting his teeth, he attempted to get out of the man's grasp. You shouldn't be here. If Zalron finds you, he'll kill you. Corey released him and turned him around, putting a hand on his shoulder. No, he won't. Zylok sent me here with the tools required to save you and everyone else. I just need you to trust me. Can you do that? We're all going to go to Vasilius together. Corey smiled widely. Ezra put his hands behind his head and paced back and forth, kicking rocks and debris as he went. I can't go back with you. For starters, Zalron did something to me. I don't know what, but I know I can't control myself. Anything could send me over the edge. After what I did to Eliath and Sindral, I can't show my face around them anymore. He showed Corey his arms where the purple dots remained. Do you know how to fix this? Ezra sobbed and gripped his head. I'm sorry, but I can't. Corey hugged him tightly. Don't worry, my friend. I'm going to save you. You forget, I've been around almost as long as Zylok, and I've learned a thing or two from the old man over the years. Now, hold still. This might be a bit painful. Ezra flinched as the giant man put a hand on his chest. It glowed silver, followed by Corey's eyes. Multiple strands of energy shot out and latched onto the purple dots. Here's where the painful part comes. Corey placed another hand on the man's head. Ezra winced. For a fleeting moment he thought his blood vessels were exploding. Faint pops went off inside his body. Different colors of energy raced across his eyes, and a low ringing grew louder in his ears. Taking a grasping breath, he nearly collapsed before 20 tiny crystal shards came out of his arms, neck, and chest. Corey's energy remained tethered to the tiny gems. Removing his other hand, he released more tendrils of white, hot lightning that connected to the purple crystals. The light of the objects grew as bright as a star, then dimmed to nothing, and fell to the ground. Corey's energy faded. He put a loving hand on his comrade's shoulder and released a deep breath. How do you feel? Ezra rubbed his neck and examined himself. Everything appeared normal. No glowing purple dots, no lust to kill, and his head and his heart beat steadily. He went over and leaned on Corey. Exhausted, but I feel like myself again. What did you do? I used an evil purging spell and locked onto everything or anything inside your body that felt unnatural. That was the painful part you experienced. After that, I merely phased the objects out of your body and purified them. Ezra's eyes opened wide. I didn't realize you could phase an object. Corey nodded and his smile grew wider. It's no different from when Zylok teleports us with him. It can be a bit harder with inanimate objects, but it can be done. I'm in your debt, Corey. He leaned in and hugged the gentle giant. Stepping back, he dropped to the ground and picked up the tiny shards. Grabbing a tiny black bag from his waist, he placed the objects into it and placed it in his pants pocket. His brow furrowed as he thought about Zalron. I think it's time for me to pay the Black Hood a visit. Give him a little payback for what he did to me and the rest of our family. Can you find Meridian and gather everyone else together at the Colosseum? Then we can go home. Corey transformed into a raven and flew into the air. Be careful, Ezra. Don't get yourself killed. Ezra waved goodbye to his companion and made his way to the castle. Anger came over him, but this time he could control it. Time for that bastard to learn what happens when you mess with my family. Focused on his energy, he phased to the castle and stormed through the halls into the throne room. He threw the doors open furiously and slammed a fist into his open palm. Where are you, Zalron? The Black Hood materialized before him with a wicked grin. Welcome back, boy. Where are my followers? Ezra took a cautious step back and put his hands up. There's somewhere you can't get them. He pointed his finger and charged energy around himself. Do you remember what I told you all those years back? About what would happen if you deceived me? Zalron crossed his arms and scoffed. I remember just fine. I also remember warning you to do as I told, or there would be consequences. Your father found that out the hard way. Pain swirled in Ezra's stomach, and he took another step back. What did you do to him, monster? Nothing yet. The Black Hood cackled excitedly. But after I'm done taking care of you, I think I'll go finish him off. Ezra screamed and shot forward, throwing a wild punch into his enemy's chest. Zalron grabbed the man's arm, swung him around in a circle, and then launched him against the wall. He leaped forward and drove his knee into Ezra's chest, followed by 2 swift punches to the gut. Grabbing him by the throat, he lifted until eye level, then leaned in close. You're an annoying insect. I wasn't able to take full control of you while you were in the future, but now it's over. He raised his finger and snapped. Wait, hold on. While you're in the... Just need a... I thought they weren't in the future. Snapped. Ezra coughed and smiled through bloody teeth. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think these were still in my body? Reaching for the tiny sack on his waist, he emptied the contents to the floor and chuckled. You can't control me anymore. Zalron shrieked, tossed Ezra across the room, and threw his fist into the wall. How did you figure it out? This shouldn't be possible. Mr. Thomas, what an honor. It is great to see you. They aren't, but Zalron didn't know that. He didn't. Huh. Okay. Great to see you as well. Man, I've missed you. I've lurked in some of your streams, but the last couple of weeks for work for me have just been stupidly busy, to put it nicely. But man, it's good to see you. Folks, if you don't know Mr. D. Thomas, he is smooth. He is butter. He's just a cool guy, and I love his face. Ezra doesn't either. They aren't in the future. Zalron didn't know that, and Ezra didn't either. Okay. Well, thank you for the hug, sir. Hug you too. Only those who Zylok told. But I thought they weren't in the future. I thought they were just on a different planet like in the same, like they didn't shift time, they just shifted planets. Or am I thinking of this incorrectly? No worries, I tried to lurk in your streams as well, but I literally have no schedule. Whoop, hold on. Have no schedule for being on Twitch anymore. Oh, that is unfortunate, because schedules are great. No, that's not what I mean. Well, then I'm confused. They weren't in the future. But Lord Zalron thought maybe they were. But Ezra still thinks it was the future. Okay. Yeah, work is just lost for me as well, so I'm just on randomly. I get it. I hope you're I know you've moved and all that stuff. I hope you're happier where you are, because I know you weren't exactly living the life that you wanted to live before. So even if work is nuts, I hope you're pleased with your current living situation. I know you are. Yes, and correct. Okay. Got it. Hey, and wouldn't you know, I've lost my place. Thumbs up. Oh, wait. No, we're at the top of the page. It's fine. Because he's like, this shouldn't be possible. Rah! Lord Zalron. Rah! I'm happy with my living situation, yes. Although my current job does kind of suck. We can't have it all, sir. Pick one. Zylok was the only one who was told they were on a different planet per Kai. He told Eliath. Thank you. Thank you for setting the record straight. Getting up from the floor, Ezra put a hand on his chest and steadied his breathing. I picked my living situation. You can pick your job too, technically. But Ezra and Sindril haven't been filled in yet. Okay, good to know. Think. If I don't do something fast, I'm dead. What can I use to incapacitate him for a while? Thinking back to all the things his father taught him growing up, he remembered an ancient technique he'd only done successfully once in his life. However, he figured it was worth a shot if he were to survive. Taking his hands, he placed them before his chest and formed a sign. He moved his thumbs toward himself and separated his other four fingers into two halves. Excuse me, gosh. Green and gold energy exploded from his body and raced up to sit in the open space between his hands. The power circled into a powerful ball before bending back over his limbs, forming two snake heads. The Viper move. I have to be calls and do some work this evening looking. No worries, sir. It is wonderful to see you. Zalron turned his attention away from the fallen shards and stalked forward, purple and black lightning crackling off him. What do you think you can do to me, boy? Your power is nothing compared to mine. Raising his hands, he released twin beams of lightning. Azur threw his hands up and placed a barrier shield up. Twin Viper technique. Energy seal. Azra chuckled as the lightning absorbed into the shield. This is an ancient technique from my family. I hope it brings you pain and suffering. Aiming his hands forward, he released the snakeheads. They soared across the room and latched onto Zalron's shoulders. The Black Hood looked back and forth and shrugged. Is this supposed to tickle me to death? Pretty pathetic. Twin Viper energy transfer. Ezra yanked his hands back. Zalron screamed as purple and black energy left his body in twin beams. They raced forward and struck Ezra. He clasped his hands together and centered all the magic into one fist. Arm burning with multiple colors of lightning and energy, he went toward his enemy. This is for everything you took from us. Zalron raised his hands and clenched them into fists. He looked back and forth furiously, but no power came out. What did you do to me, brat? More energy left his body before the energy snakeheads faded. I'm simply giving you a small taste of what pain feels like. Ezra leaped forward and threw his charged fist into Zauron's chest. A loud crack sounded before the dark warlock flew through the castle walls and out to the mountains. A tremendous boom shook the earth as rocks fell to the ground. Ezra's leg vibrated from the after effect. Then his energy died down and he collapsed to one knee, breathing deeply. The throne room door flew open, and Corey came in with worry written on his face. Ezra, are you okay? Shakily getting to his feet, Ezra nodded and limped towards his friend. Yes, I'm fine. I bought us a little time. Corey smiled and stepped to the side to reveal Meridian. I got her. Ezra went to his aunt and hugged her. I'm glad to see you. I'm so sorry you had to suffer at the hands of Zauron, but we can leave now. We can all go to Physilius together. Meridian placed a hand on his cheek and stared wistfully at him. I'm glad to see you, nephew. However, I can't go with you. Zauron placed a death curse on me. If I leave the castle, I'll die. Corey put a hand on her shoulder. I can help with that, my lady. If you place your faith in me, I'll remove this wretched curse. Meridian bit her lip and sighed. I can't allow you to do that. Removing a death curse is no easy thing. I don't want you to have... Corey grabbed her shoulders. Trust me, Meridian. I won't let you down. Let me save you so that we can save everyone else and leave. She nodded and smiled. Very well. Do what you need to do. Hold on a second. Sorry. Oh boy. Sorry. I just need to take care of this real quick. Okay. I'm back. Corey placed a hand on her chest, and silver energy exploded outward, covering the woman's body. He gritted his teeth as he spoke. Curse of death, show yourself. Let the light remove the darkness. Come forth and meet your demise. Corey's eyes ignited violet, and he pulled his hand backward. Wind raced around the room, and the walls of the room cracked. A large blob of black energy in the shape of a person left Meridian's chest. She winced and moaned, but remained still. Lightning cascaded across the ceiling as the blob of energy formed a pair of eyes and a mouth. Corey aimed both hands forward and shouted, Go back to the pit of darkness, foul beast! Loosing 2 lines of white light, it struck the blob and illuminated it. The energy bent and flexed. As it screamed and wailed, cracked lines formed on its body, and the white light seeped through. Corey's face started cracking the same, but as he screamed, a loud explosion occurred, and the room became peaceful once more. Corey collapsed to the ground, wheezing and coughing. Meridian went to him and lifted his chin. 2 scars lined his forehead. Kissing him on the cheek, she helped him to his feet and bowed her head. Thank you, friend. It appears the spell takes a toll on the user. I'm sorry you had to be the one to receive those scars. Corey released a deep breath and cracked his neck. It's all right, my lady. It was worth it to save a friend. Shall we go get the rest? Ezra walked to the window and peered out. We don't have a lot of time. I'm sure Zauron will be after us any minute. He made his way back to the throne room doors. I've got a large amount of people in the Colosseum already, so we don't have to worry about them. How do we get all the other followers over there with the little time we have? Meridian motioned toward the courtyard. Come with me. I can take care of that. Ezra followed with a quickened pace. Fear crept into his heart as the thought of Zauron coming back for them. I hope we can make it in time. Meridian stopped in the field just beyond the castle. Kneeling to the ground, she set her hands on the grass. Magenta light flowed outward with a pulsing wave in the ocean. Like a pulsing wave in the ocean. Her hair lifted into the air as if gravity didn't exist. After her energy stopped, she got to her feet and held out her hands. Come on, everyone is in the Colosseum. Time to give them their minds back. What do you mean, they are all there? Ezra asked, scratching at his head. Meridian smiled as she grabbed their hands. I used the presence of life magic to detect where everyone was at. Then I phased them to our destination. I didn't think you could do that without making physical contact with them, Ezra said. I touched them through nature. I'm a mage, nephew. Earth and ice magic are my specialties. Now, let's go save our friends. Ezra grabbed hers and Corey's hand, and they phased to the Colosseum. Thousands of people roamed around mindlessly, some running into one another and some dashing around frantically. He looked back and forth from Corey to Meridian. Well, how do we restore all their minds? We'll do a mind restoration spell. All I need both of you to do is focus on the energy in the earth. Let it flow freely into you, and I will feed off you to perform the spell, Meridian said. Ezra nodded and got on his knees, placing both hands on the ground. He closed his eyes and listened to the wind. The natural vibrations of the earth slithered through his arms. The taste of water vapor lined his tongue. Calmness overwhelmed him. For the first time in a long time, he felt in tune with nature and magic. This is how it should be. Meridian placed her hands on both her companion's shoulders and raised them toward the swarming groups of people and released a pink wave of energy. It soared through the crowd. With each person it hit, their eyes reverted to normal, and they hugged the ones nearest to them. Ezra stood and celebrated with his comrades. We did it! Now, we need to get to Vasilius. He fumbled around in his pocket, searching for a mass phase device. A loud explosion sounded, and chunks of rock and dirt flew into the air. A pair of menacing purple eyes raked the arena, and a shrieking voice followed. Ezra! Meridian! Ezra's pulse quickened, and he moved forward. Meridian placed her hand on his shoulder. I'll take care of it this time. I've been waiting for this moment for 8 years. Start getting people to Vasilius. Do whatever you need to. I'm staying here and fighting. But we don't know how to kill him. Ezra looked at her with pleading eyes as she threw his hands in the air. Meridian kissed him on the forehead. My child, I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to trap him. She turned to Corey with a loving expression. What will you do? I'm going to go hide myself and stay after you've all left. Someone needs to keep an eye on our enemy. I'm best suited for that. Very well. She gave Ezra a playful push. Go. Get everyone out of here. Ezra nodded and rushed toward the people of Targus to begin his task. Good luck, Meridian. And there's a break in the story. It's times like these when safety is imperative. Gonna take a quick sip. Based on the email I just got from work, it looks like I need to do some catching up with a tricky client after this live stream ends. Yay! Woo! Meridian walked forward with caution. Zalron came toward her, limping every other step. A large hole remained in his shirt, the skin charred and bloody. Charging energy around her body, she rose into the air. Magenta light exploded from her, and her hair waved in the wind. It is time for you to go back to prison, Zalron. The Black Hood channeled black and blue lightning around himself and rose into the air to meet her. Filthy witch. You should have stayed in the castle where you belonged. Your father won't be happy to know you disobeyed us. Meridian shook her head. I don't care what my father thinks. He lost the right to call me a daughter. Aiming her hands to the side, she created a towering ice walls around them. They rose into the air with tremendous speed and connected at the top, trapping them in a dome. Zalron cackled excitedly as he charged purple lightning around his fingers. You think you've trapped me, girl? This isn't going to stop me. Meridian dropped to the ground and stomped her foot. Magenta light soared across the ground and frost rose, turning the air frigid. The Black Hood dropped to the ground and released twin beams of hot lightning. It soared through the air and stopped just before Meridian's face. Solid ice crawled along the energy attack, freezing it in place. Raising her hand, Meridian tapped a finger to the frozen lightning, and it shattered. She smiled as she approached him. How do you like my absolute zero ice dome? Grabbing hold of her enemy's shoulder, she sent a layer of ice over his body and punched him in the gut. Zalron coughed up blood and gasped for air. How are you doing this? You shouldn't be this strong. Aren't you worried about your husband's body? No, I'm not. Merrick is strong and can handle this. She rose into the air once more and clasped her hands. I've become the one thing neither you nor my father can stop. I'm an ice phoenix, reborn from the ashes, and I'm trapping you in a prison you won't be able to escape from. She raised her hands to the ceiling and smiled. Ice phoenix magic. Fists of fury. The dome wall shook as boulder-sized ice fists rained down from the ceiling. Zalron threw up his hands, attempting to shatter the projectiles, but failed. They slammed him into the ground and continued striking him. Waving her hands, Meridian cancelled out her attack and leaped forward. She released a layer of ice, which swirled around the dark warlock, trapping him in a frozen cocoon. Staring into his eyes, she let out a sigh and cracked her neck. The next time we meet will be the last. I will get my husband back, and you will burn in hell for all the things you did to us. Zalron scoffed. What did you do, woman? I can't use my powers in here. Meridian smiled as her hands ignited white. It's too cold to use energy attacks in here. You should be glad you have my husband's body. Otherwise, I would have frozen you from the inside out. She pointed a finger, and 4 walls of ice shot out from the ground, surrounding the Black Hood. She aimed higher and formed a ceiling to her prison, then walked away. Zalron's scream sounded off like a wailing demon troll, but she ignored them. Snapping her fingers, the ice dome shattered into figments of light, and the light of day shone upon her. No one remained in the Colosseum. Ezra must have gotten everyone to safety. She smiled at the thought of seeing her loved ones again. Phasing out of sight, she landed in the castle courtyard of Vasilius. Thousands of people swarmed around in busy lines. Some were still hugging each other, and some sat by the fountain enjoying cups of wine and water. Making her way into the building, she rushed toward the meeting room and went through the doors. She spotted Kairos and Zylok at the front of the table, so she rushed to them and embraced them. "It's so good to see you." Zylok gripped her back and kissed her forehead. "I'm so glad you are safe. I've thought about you every day. I'm sorry we didn't save you sooner." Meridian shook her head and wiped the tears from her eyes. "It's okay. I'm just glad we can all be together again." She looked around the room frantically, attempting to spot her children. "Where are Eliath and Sindral?" Kairos placed a hand on her back. "I'll take you to them. Eliath is in bed healing currently." "What happened?" Meridian's pulse raced, and she walked quicker. Zyrok released a soft grunt and awkwardly stroked his beard. "Well, let's just say he isn't in one piece." "What happened to my baby?" Meridian eyed the old man with her famous look. Zylok swallowed, and a trickle of sweat beaded on his temple. Ezra cut off his arm, but it wasn't his fault. He was being controlled by Zalron, and Meridian threw up a finger. And then the puzzle was finished by Mitchell and Zarias. Well done. Oh, I was expecting it to say castle owned by Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it says Corvin Castle in Romania. Close enough. Close enough. GG's on the puzzle. Well done. Very happy. Hydrate. Okay, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Some good stuff. Really good. It's like not too sweet, but not too bland. And there's just enough milk in there to have this. Like sometimes black tea can have a bit of a, not bitter, but a strong spike to it. But there's just enough milk to kind of round the edges. You know what I mean? Must keep those golden vocal cords lubricated. Mitchell. That is a very sweet thing to say. Might be slightly exaggerated. But I appreciate it all the same. I really do. And now I've lost my place again. Oh, wait. Meridian threw up a finger. He's going to need medical treatment. I'll tend to him immediately. I'm a sweet person. Obviously. Otherwise you would not have said what you said. Kairos opened a pair of double doors at the end of the marbled hall and motioned with a wave. They're in there. Meridian rushed inside and spotted Eliath on a bed and Sindral in a chair beside him. My children! She ran to Sindral and swallowed her in an embrace. She kissed her forehead and cheeks. Stepping back, she grabbed her daughter's face with both hands. You've grown so beautiful. I'm so sorry you had to suffer all these years. Sindral wiped the tears from her eyes and sniffled. It's not your fault, Mother. I'm just glad to see you alive and well. She pointed to the bed. He got hurt pretty bad. Do you think you can help him? Meridian moved one pace forward and sat on the bed. She placed a hand on her son's cheek and he opened his eyes. Hello, Allie. Eliath's eyes bulged from their sockets. Mother? He leaned forward weakly and hugged her with one arm. As he leaned back, he winced and sat his head against the bedboard. I can't believe you're here. Meridian grabbed her children's hand and smiled. We've got a lot to talk about. And that is the end of chapter 30. The only one thing I noticed at the end there, it said she grabbed his hands, but he only got one. The other one is gone. So I changed it in my head and out loud to hand. Just so you're aware. I'm sure he's going to get it back somehow with the power of sorcery and magic. But either way, that was a good couple of chapters. There was a lot happening there. And it sounds like... Oh, their hands. I thought it said his hands. Did I read that wrong? Grabbed her children's hands. Jeez, I'm sorry. In my head, she was still looking at Eliath, grabbing his hands. But no, she's grabbing their... Okay, it's fine. If Luke Skywalker can get a new hand, then gosh darn it, Eliath can too. That's right. Children's hands, not child. Plural, which means there are multiple hands. Anyway, obviously my mind, after seeing that email that came through, has gone to a different place because I got to deal with that. But it just happens to work out that we're coming to the end of stream anyway, and we managed to finish the chapter. So I think we're going to go raid our friend Pants, who's having the birthday for her son. I look forward to seeing you all next time. This has been a lot of fun. I hope that whatever your week looks like, no matter how chaotic it might be, that whatever you do it as best as you can with a calm and collective attitude. Because right now, with this email, I might lose my freaking mind. So I'm going to try and do that for myself. I'm going to raid our friend's pants. Is that what I heard? That's exactly right. We are raiding our friend's pants. So yeah. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Good night.